Today we met with Jay Lambert, owner and operator of Big Time Hoops. Big Time Hoops hosts youth basketball tournaments all across the U.S. Jay and I discussed how we got started, COVID-19, police brutality, and advice for young tournament directors just getting started. Hope you enjoy. Jay, how you doing?
I'm doing great. How you doing today, Ben?
Good. Thanks for coming on the podcast.
Oh, thank you. Thanks for having me.
So to start out, just tell the audience a little bit about Big Time Hoops, what you guys do, where you operate, that kind of stuff.
Well, Big Time Hoops originated in the state of Virginia, so we service the DMV area. Around 2011, 2012, I had a partner that had his own facility, and he wanted to expand the offerings in that particular area of Virginia. So we started throwing small events, local events, and then it just grew larger and larger and larger. Then I broke off about 2015-ish, 2016-ish, and I just took the brand. Reason why we broke off because of I moved to Texas as well. I got married, so I started operations in Texas, but I still maintain operations in the DMV area. So from 2016 to now, we've expanded into obviously the DMV area, DFW, Florida. We've thrown events in Georgia. We've thrown events in Connecticut, New Jersey. Trying to think of all the states. North Carolina.
Yeah, you guys been all over.
So we're about 6 states we've thrown events, I think. But the last year we only hosted events in about 4 states. So each year going forward, we like to expand in a new market every year. And how we expand, we just throw small events like in a 4-court, 6-court facility, and just promote it for the year to see the buzz, to see if we can get any market share. And if we like it, we like the facility, we like the environment, we like the outcome, then we'll sign a longer term deal with that particular facility in that particular state. So that's how we normally grow.
Yeah, that's awesome.
And thank you for letting us on your platform as well.
Oh, absolutely.
We're definitely going to, not this year, but next year, we're definitely going to do more of a hard stay, because we've been very lenient on the play to stay, because I was a national travel coach for a lot of years, and I need to get out of my own way because I had some I didn't have the best experience in play to stays, because I felt like the directors had too much say of what I wanted to do, what I wanted to do with my team and things of that nature. So we kind of have a soft kind of hold, but now I see the benefit, and I have to promote that even more, the benefit to teams of having a play and stay and securing your lodging at these preferred hotels. So I will do a better job, I promise. I'll do a much better job.
And no, we're just happy to work with you. You know, we work with people that do the state of plays that, you know, it really is pretty firm. And then other times just an option. So it's not a big deal. You know, we like working with you. You were one of the first tournaments we actually started working with, actually. Oh, back maybe over a year ago. And yeah, you know, we're figuring the whole thing out too. And we know that a lot of the parents coming to these things, they don't want to have to stay in some expensive hotel or whatever else that they got to go in. They want to be able to choose. So that's what we're trying to kind of, how do we map towards what you guys need, revenue and everything else, the management stuff, and what the teams need, which is, you know, just good pricing, some freedom in there. So anyways, yeah, it's been good working with you. Like I said, I like the way you guys are running the organization. I've seen a lot about it. And, you know, I know you and I have been working together probably for over a year. So I figured had to have you on and just, you know, give people some understanding of how it works. Because the idea of this too is people that might want to start events up, start tournaments up. How do they get started? So what would you say to somebody? They're just maybe they graduated college or whatever else, and they got a job, but they really want to start youth sports events on the side there. What would you suggest as the first step for them?
Is to build a relationship with a local facility. Um, you can throw money and rent a space, indoor, outdoor, depending on the sport. But I would say build a relationship and build trust with that facility director. But the easiest way to go about it is probably just going through your local, because you already built in a relationship, hopefully in the community, at your local high school. Or maybe if you graduate from college and you have built-in relationships on your college campus, those are probably the easiest and the cheapest ways right now. That's how we really got started. After we grew past my original partner's forecourt facility, we had to get the local high schools involved. So that's how we were able to expand the capacity at a much quicker rate, because we already had those built-in relationships that I leveraged with my daughters. She was a big basketball, big time player in the state of Virginia. So her local high school, the AD and the coach, they welcomed me because they knew the person I was, because of that relationship that I had. So they offered the gym, we accepted, and we just started running ever since then. So I would say for indoor facilities, local high schools, even middle schools, maybe even colleges, because that'll keep your costs down at first. You wouldn't have to fork over large deposits as you would do at a private facility where they require anywhere from 10% to 33% just to sign a contract to lock the date.
Yeah.
So, but I can say with the COVID, those relationships, no matter how good they are, I think this is just my opinion, I think that those public schools, those public offerings, those gymnasiums will be harder and harder to come by because of the state we're living in right now.
Yeah.
That's just my opinion, but I smell it. And I'm usually pretty much on point. I think that it'll just be harder to secure those high schools and middle schools in the future.
Yeah, agreed. What do you think, how long do you think the COVID stuff's going to last? Is it going to be forever that we're going to have this stuff? Is it going to be a year, 2 years? What do you think there?
Getting back to, it's going to be at least 2 years.
Yeah.
2 years. And the reason why I say 2 years, from a parent, as a coach, and as an event director, I see all three things. So I try to put my hat on all three different type of viewpoints. Mm-hmm. So if you don't have rapid testing, which I was happy when they started maybe 45 days ago saying they have rapid testing, but then 30 days ago, they said the rapid testing was inaccurate.
Yep.
So, because if we have the rapid testing, I can mandate these tests to be at least given to the kids. The social distancing with the spectators, I think that's the easy part. Mm-hmm. I think it's just the competitors, the interaction with the competitors that I worry about, because you can't control that. You can't wear a mask while you're playing basketball. You just can't do it.
Yeah, you can't social distance either.
You just can't do it. So at least with the rapid testing, it would have been a higher cost to the teams, but teams will be willing to pay that to play.
Right.
But since the rapid testings are not accurate, that threw a monkey wrench in my original thought of us coming back to some type of normalcy. But then the other thing, if we need a vaccine won't be ready for at least 18 months for everyone to get it. Mm-hmm. So if it's available in the next 9 months, it's still going to take a significant amount for the whole population to have that vaccine. And it's just how safe and secure are you with yourself to subject your child into an environment that can be dangerous, maybe not for the child, but maybe someone else in your household that has asthma, that has respiratory problems, that was battling cancer and, diabetes and all these other underlying conditions. And this COVID can trigger these underlying conditions. It's just too much of a risk, I think, at this point. But I would say 2 years to answer your question. Unfortunately, yeah.
I think you're right. I think you're right because we work with event directors like yourself as well as the universities, and we see the same thing. Some event directors are getting started a little bit again. We're seeing maybe 10% of volume we might expect, but I don't expect it to go to 100% for several years, unfortunately. But hopefully we'll get back to where, you guys, for instance, you can run 50% of your events at 50% capacity, something relatively soon, hopefully. I don't know. We might have that second wave they're talking about. There's just so much ambiguity with it and uncertainty. It's hard to know what's going to happen.
Yeah, but Ben, I was talking to a big facility, one of the larger facilities in Maryland yesterday. Called me out of the blue and said, Jay, what are you going to do with your events? We still have you on the calendar. And they're battling back and forth with the governor and the county president, the county elected officials. And the facility brings a lot of money to this particular county. So the county residents are just like, we need to open it up. We need to open it up. We need to open it up.
Yep.
And he asked me, well, Jay, what are you proposing? If we give you this date, this date, this date, can you do it? He offered me an end of June date. I said, I can't do it. So we're talking about maybe end of July, first week of August. So I said, this is what I need from you so I feel comfortable, and I think the spectators and the teams feel comfortable. And this is what I proposed to a couple of event direct facilities in the state of Texas. Now, once I say this, people are going to start running with this. You need to have an entrance and a separate exit. They can't cross paths. That's number one. And the reason why I say that, because what I'm proposing is, say if I normally start my games every hour and an hour. I want to start my games now every hour and 15 minutes. So I'm giving the spectators and the players on all courts, you have to vacate the building. I'm gonna give you 10 to 15 minutes to vacate the building in a different entrance. You can't exit the same way you came into the facility. Separate exit. And then that will allow enough time for the staff in the facility to disinfect certain things. So the new wave of players, spectators associated with those teams can come in and enjoy the game.
Yep.
And then there has to be a separation of at least 2 hours or 2 games between each game. So if you played at 12, your game is over at 1, your next game is not going to start till 3. So everyone it's enough time, social distancing, everyone's on a schedule. You can sanitize the facility the best that you can. And also what I propose is, because a lot of facilities are against this, but they need to start rethinking the way they do business, is allow spectators to bring their own chairs, their own foldable chairs. Mm-hmm. So that's something that I'm proposing in the state of Texas and in Maryland and Virginia area. And the facility directors, because that'll actually cut down their cost of spraying all these chemicals, the staffing, if you allow people to bring their foldable chairs. And I know they were against it years ago because sometimes the foldable chairs at the bottom would scrape up the floors. But now a lot of facilities have transitioned to these, not these hardwood floors, but these, synthetic type of flooring, so it doesn't scrape it now. So
right.
Introduce the foldable chairs, have a separate exit throughway or an exit door, so the crowds don't cross-pollinate each other or cross-contaminate each other at that funnel where people are coming in, coming out at the same time. So you manage the spectators and put them on a schedule. Once the game is over, you have 10 minutes to vacate. And if you don't, there'll be some type of consequence. That I haven't come up with, but I think everyone should be on board with something like that. That's just my mad scientist thought. So
Man, you're ahead of the game though. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. I think that's the key is if you want to open the events and host them and have pretty good attendance and all that, you got to have a good procedure. That seems to be the big piece I think that people are missing. Because if you host an event and then all of a sudden people realize that COVID has spread there, you're not gonna be able to do it for who knows how long. I think you're right though. The procedure wise, the human or the traffic control with each person, the spectators and all that, sanitization. That's the big part about it. Testing. I think you're right. If you could have testing, that's a solve all. Because if you could test and there's nobody in here that has it, you're good at that point.
Yeah.
It's a weird world.
Tests will be more accurate, but they're not at the current time.
And they're kind of expensive still. So like they need to come down in cost. If they were $15 a test and you could do a swab test and have one lab person do it, that could be affordable and that could be realistic for an event. You could test all 300 people at the tournament and then all of a sudden it's good,
But they have and I was researching last night because I want to get one of those masks. It's very expensive. I don't know how I'm gonna fit this in my budget, but they have this thermal imaging thing where you can scan like a group of 5 or 6 at the same time, and it'll pop up the temperature. So if you're over a certain amount, don't let them in the facility. But while I was doing our research, there are services out there that they will have people in the facility swabbing people. I haven't looked into the cost, but something like that, like I said, the spectators are easy to manage. It's those people, it's the players that really need to be tested.
Yep.
So if I can test the players at a reasonable cost, I think people would parents, I would, if I have to pay an extra $15, $20, and I'm 100% sure, and this will have to be at least an hour before the game. I would to be at least, because you can't do it right before the game, but at least an hour before the game, test each player. But I'm gonna look into that. Was one of my projects to look into that this weekend to look at the pricing. If I can have someone on staff to do that with the players, that'll be phenomenal.
Yeah, that's a good point. Our university partners, some of the college teams, what they talked about is, you ever seen those? It's like it looks like a gun, but it's you can put it on someone's forehead and it shows the temperature. Mm-hmm. They'll do that for every athlete coming in. They test temperature, and then they got to run through the CDC health survey. I don't know if you've seen that. It's probably 6 to 10 questions, something like that. Yeah, and that's a decent way at least. It's not it doesn't capture everything, but it's better than nothing. And if nothing else, it makes people feel more comfortable.
But you gotta think this is, you can answer those questions. Everyone knows what the questions are going to be, and then you can cheat those thermal scanners. Because if I pop 2 Tylenols an hour before my game, entering a facility, that suppresses your temperature, your fever.
Yep.
So there's ways around it, but if you can swab, and that will be, it's the testing. It's all about the testing, because I'm not going to mention the vaccine because I think that's just too far in 18 months, 24 months in the future. But the testing is the most vital piece that we need right now, just from a comfortability perspective.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. That's good perspective. You actually are more knowledgeable or informed about this than most people I talk to. Most people I talk to are just like, well, we're going to try to keep people apart. That's the strategy. So you're on top of it though, man.
I'm trying, man, because we're a family operated business, and then I've taken on 2 new partners, Sam Brown and Ruben Perry.
Yep, I know Ruben. Yeah.
Sam runs the operation in Florida, and Ruben, hopefully this year he'll take over all of Texas, because what I'm trying to do is have really elite signature events that I will be managing, and it'll be about maybe 5 the most throughout the United States. And then Sam and Ruben. So my signature events will have certain things. It'll have you have 4+ games, well, 4 game, at least a 4 game guarantee. There'll be trainers on staff. I'm gonna try to have collegiate, college official type of training session. So we'll have college coach, I mean, not college coaches, but college officials on, hopefully, officiating the games. And then also most of those events, basically from June 15th on, we'll have Division II, Division III college coaches in attendance. So it'll be an upper echelon, more signature events, but Sam and Ruben, they'll throw the regular events and the 1-day bumps or the 1-day challenges. That's what we call them, the 1-day challenges now. So those are more local and regional, which the signature events will be more national. So from coast to coast. So that's the game plan for 2021. Hopefully it'll work and people will gravitate to it, but you got to change up. You know, you can't keep doing the same old. You'll never grow if you keep doing it same old.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, no, I got you.
What's new for you guys at Lucid Travel? What's going on? Every time I open my email, something pops up that you've upgraded this, you've added this, you've done that, which is great because you just have to do it. And how's the partnership going with Exposure?
Exposure. Oh yeah. Exposure's good, man. That's how we got a lot of the basketball tournament people, and I love working with basketball is my favorite sport to watch too. So I love working in this sport. I like working with all the people too. So that's been great. We love that partnership. Yeah, we're building some new stuff. We're trying to make it for like people that have the more local events, like some of the smaller ones you guys have. Maybe a lot of people aren't traveling in, but and how do you still capture the people that are coming in, and how do we build a different experience that people really like? Because most people, to your point, they're going, oh, here's another agency I got to deal with, and they're going to take all my money, and I don't want to stay there. And there's a very negative connotation with it. So how do you change that and make it a great experience for them, and then a great revenue source for people like yourself? So yeah, we're chipping away at it. People like you help us a lot too, because you give us a lot of ideas. You'll say, hey, we need this or that, and then we build that stuff. That we'll go and we'll do it. But just like anybody else, everything's more or less at zero right now. We're starting to get some reservations here and there, but yeah, this COVID thing knocked it out. And then our main market is the universities, and they completely did travel bans in a week. Every single university, boom, gone. It was crazy, man. It was unfortunate, but we're slowly recovering. We got some stuff in the works that will help us get through a little bit. But we're just trying to make it through, keep up with people like yourself, and try to build some interesting things that really help make stuff easier or whatever else. So that's what we've been doing.
So I know one thing I think you guys should promote, because you've helped me out and you've educated me. And the term escapes my memory right now, but when someone books a hotel and they have to cancel for whatever reason, the hotels have changed the policy now. I remember it used to be 24 hours before, there was no penalty. Now it's 72 hours. But what's the term that you guys use when you can cancel an event? I mean, can't cancel your booking.
Yeah.
What is that called again?
Free cancellation. Yeah.
But no, it's another term that you use.
Refundable. Maybe refundable, or a pay at hotel. There's a couple of different things. I know, because what happens is so this is the way it works in terms of actually the underlying business. People don't know this part, but like hotels will give you a non-refundable. They'll give you a big discount. They'll say, hey, here's a 20% discount, but it's non-refundable because they want to lock you in. So they'll do those sometimes. And the free cancellation ones, those are a little bit more, standard rates or around standard rates, maybe a small discount, and you can cancel them up to the event more or less. But you're right, they're getting stricter on a lot of these policies. And we can set stuff up to where we only show the free cancellations and whatnot. But the problem is everybody goes straight to Google, and then they're going to search there, and all the rates you see with Google and Kayak and all these people, they might be non-refundable. So they're going to either book them with you guys on your you know custom site you have with us, or they're going to go to Google and say, hey, I found this one $20 cheaper.
Yeah.
And then even if you try to explain it, hey, that one's non-refundable, they're going to say, yeah, but I mean, I don't care. I just want to save money, until they need to cancel it. And then if they need to cancel it, then they're upset, you know? So it's a hard one to balance, is, you know, what to show, what not.
But that one, I think you educated me on this. You can get a 1 room, maybe sometimes 2 rooms at that cheaper price. But when you're looking at rooms for teams, you can't do that. It's because you can always find that sale for 1 or 2 or 1 or 2 rooms. But if you need like 10 rooms, it's real hard to get that sale through Google, because that's a block of rooms.
That's right. So usually what happens is we consolidate all kinds of different rates. So we'll pull in rates all over the place, like, you know, and the rates that we can really save a lot of money on are the wholesale rates. So those are ones that are not on Google, and people go out and buy these in advance. The thing with that is there might only be 20, 30 rooms available at that price. So they sell out pretty quick. Now, sometimes you can actually get a decent amount with that really discounted rate, but usually, you know, you might not be able to. So that's how that works. We're trying to work. The thing is, people still like doing the room blocks, traditional style, call them up, get a code, all that kind of stuff. So now our next endeavor is going to be, how do we make it to where people that really still want to do the room block thing, which is a little more work, how do we make that way easier and better with us? And we're working with a good partner of ours on that. And you've seen a little bit of this stuff we've done, but that's a hard one to crack there, because it's so much work, you know?
Yeah. It's a lot of, you got to look at your you still got old school coaches out there that don't want to embrace technology, unfortunately, still.
Yeah,
I get about 30% of my registrations. They're just people that just still want to, I got to walk them through the process.
They want to call you and go through every bit of it with you.
Every bit, and walk them through. And sometimes I have to, like, it's about 10% that I have to register and then send them a PayPal invoice, because they just don't like computers. They just don't like electronics.
Yep. No, you're right.
I understand it, but it's about 7 to 10% of registrations that we have to punch in manually. It takes time, but it's a service we have to provide.
For sure. You got to. The reality is, in business, you got to do what people want. You know, you can have all these grander visions of this, that, and the other, but you got to serve people. That's what it's about. You know.
Exactly.
So yeah, man, that's crazy. It is crazy what's going on with the COVID stuff, and it's crazy what's going on in the country with all the police brutality stuff, the Black Lives Matter. What's your take on that piece? How can people like myself and others, how can we support it and on that side?
Well, there's a couple of things. If you hear about something, say something. It's really that simple. It goes back to what I've been saying for years. I had a father figure in New York he was a cop. But as growing up and interacting with cops, I had an experience that I didn't care too much for when I was about 15, maybe 16 years old. And I trust cops, I trust people, but the way I view cops, police as basically an organized, funded gang. Mm-hmm. And when people say that all cops are not bad, you're looking at it from one perspective. Once they're outside of that uniform, that blue uniform, they may be a good person or a bad person, but once they have that uniform on, they're a united front. And the problem that they have is they don't say something. So if you're a good person outside of that uniform, you need to be the same person and have the same judgment when you have that uniform on. So I look at most cops, if not all cops now, as if you're not saying something, you're the problem. Yep. And as you know, my white friends, I say the same thing. You have to say something. It's just bringing awareness to stuff. But if you don't say something, then you're the bad apple as well. Yep. So it just, you don't have to root, but you have to, you know, you don't have to go out there and protest so much. But if you're at the workplace or if you're at a public place, escalate it up. You don't have to make a big noise about it, but escalate it up. Make sure you get the documentation that you interacted with someone of in authority, and express your displeasure of what you saw. And then ask for some type of resolution. And I want the resolution or some type of communication by X date. Just don't leave
Yep.
it open-ended. This is what I expect. This is my information. I want some type of confirmation of my displeasure resolved in a certain amount of time. So those things, that's how we can all do a little better. Like I had a talk with my wife probably Sunday. It was something her parents said. Her mother called her and said, you know, we don't have any white friends. She said they know a lot of white people, but when we say a friend that you can confide in,
Yep. Mm-hmm.
that if like when you were growing up, if your friend got in trouble, you got in trouble, or you hung out, you broke bread with, you spent a lot of time with their family, not with just
Yep.
them, with their family. And she was looking at, she said, we don't have a lot of white friends. We know a lot of white people, but we don't have any white friends. And she's 65 years old. And so I started looking at, you know, me and my wife, she has Indian friends, she has the diversity that she works with at a job. So she made numerous friends. She has Asian friends, she has, you know, people of different, but I'm looking back on myself, I'm like, you know something? I have very few friends. Let me put that out there as well. I have a lot of trust issues that I have to work on internally. But it's like, why? Why don't Black people have a lot of white friends? Why a lot of white people don't have a lot of Black friends? That's the thing that can really help, just to, you know, culture wise, outside of music and sports. There's a lot more outside of music and sports that we can, you know, learn from each other. So answer your original question.
I like that one.
Say something. If you hear something, say something. Escalate it up. And also, number two, go out there and just break bread. That's all it is. It's just breaking bread.
No, you're right. You're right. That's exactly. I like that. That's good. Yeah, you know, I know it's a hard topic, and like I want to discuss it because I want to you know, do what I can. I don't want to seem like I'm just saying stuff or whatever else. I'm trying to think about how do we do this, because I work with a lot of Black people, a lot of Asian people, all kinds of people, right? I mean, and I want to be part of the solution, and I want Lucid to have that. So I know it's tough to always talk about. I think people kind of shy away from it, and it's gotten real politicized too, which is too bad. But man, I think there's a lot of room to go, and it's simple stuff. I think you're right. If the communities are more ingrained together, I think that's a big thing. You're right on that. Is if we can do more stuff where it's not separate. You know what I'm saying? Like that's where a lot of it comes from too. Yeah, and you know, even at the workplace level, one thing I was thinking about is there's racism obviously within the police brutality piece, the police organizations, but there's also underlying racism in other aspects of the society too, you know? And you see people, they call it the unbiased stuff, but that's what I'm trying to think about. How do you change that piece of it too, you know? Mm-hmm. And I think it's the same kind of small pieces, and it can't happen overnight, I guess, across the whole system, but just small little steps in the right direction, I guess, huh?
Well, it's certain things, Ben, that we're unaware of what we're doing or what we're saying. It's not coming from a bad place. It's just the way that we just been programmed. I was just reading something. Well, I was looking at something on YouTube, one of the sports channels. I think it was probably you'll see the First Take or Undisputed. I think it was Shannon. And he brought up, he says, and he's absolutely correct on this one. We don't realize that we've been programmed so much and we say things, we don't mean any harm in it, but when you say something like, some type of discussion between, I think, a white mother and a black mother, and the white mother was saying, well, I have another friend, and she has a husband, and she was brought up in a family with a father. When you say things like that, it's like you're kind of stereotyping certain things, like it's very few black women that have husbands, and those husbands don't have fathers that they grew up with in their home. So it's stuff like that. And it's basically no fault of her own, but she's been programmed, what she's been fed through the media and through movies all her life, that these things are being said. But now we're just being more aware of it, that it's offensive. But for me, I understand why she says it in that particular fashion. So it's up to me, in a loving, basically in a loving, compassionate way. Hey, what you said, to me, it's not offensive, but if you say it to another person, they may take offensive to it in this way of X, Y, and Z. We're not all the word. If you're wearing a hoodie, you're not a thug. Everyone wears hoodies, but for some reason, the term thug and other little terms now that have been programmed in a sneaky way into the media and into the movies and into the narrative, it has removed the N word into another word. So we have to be careful. We have to just, like I said, if you break bread, a lot of this stuff will come to the forefront in both ways. Like, black people stereotype white people stereotype black people. Some things are funny. If you listen to comedians, I think comedians are the smartest people in the world, because they always hit things right on the head, but they put it in a manner that everyone in that room can digest and understand and relate back to themselves. You know something? He or she is talking about me right now.
Right.
I think comedians are basically, I look at comedians as like the gateway, because they really speak the truth and they back it up with facts, but they put it in a way that you can digest it and not take offense to it and understand. So like Chris Rock, Dave Chappelle, like they put things in perspective that I think that if you just took their material and just presented to the mass audience, a lot of barriers will be broken down just by those two comedians and the way they put things present, past, and also they kind of predict the future in a lot of things as well. So it's just me, man. Just me.
No, I'm with you. I'm with you on that for sure. And I think it's one of those things that's, as long as it's not me versus you or this versus that, you're good. As long as it's, hey, this is why we feel this, or this is how this works. That seems to help too a lot. As soon as you take sides and all this, doesn't matter if it's politics, race, gender, whatever you're discussing. You pick sides and you're battling against them. That's where you get a lot of the problems too.
Right.
But yeah, I wanted to bring it up. I want to talk about it with you. I'm trying to, do everything I can, and I, that's what we're all about. So, to wrap up here, what's a message you want to send to the audience just to end the podcast today? Anything going on in the future you want to share, or something like that?
I think your platform is maturing, and what I really like about you guys is that you're responsive. Like if you did, it was something that didn't go quite well, but you didn't make any excuse. You didn't try to win. You didn't try to win the discussion. You listened before you reacted, which that's absolutely Even if you do something wrong, if you do that, I will still try to build a relationship with you.
Yeah, you're right.
Um, I would say if for big time hoops going forward, we're going to continue our relationship with Lucid Travel. We're going to continue to change our model. Like for 2021, like I said, we're going to have the elite type of signature events. And then we'll have the showcase events, the 2-day events with at least a 3-game guarantee, and then we'll have the 1-day challenges. So that'll be the structure going forward. But for the signature events, we're going to add in a greater police presence or law enforcement presence at the front gate. We're going to add in trainers at those events as well. The price point will be a little higher, but we offer more games, and we're going to offer more collegiate eyes viewing, especially the high school games. So that's what I'm committed to, because those signature events are my babies right now. And Sam Brown and Ruben Perry will take care of all the other events nationally as well. So we're growing. Lucid Travel. I appreciate I appreciate your guidance and your help, actually.
Absolutely. And that means a lot. I'm glad you said that about us, that you know, so if something goes wrong, you own it and you don't try to make excuses, you try to make it better. That means a lot. That's what I try to do in all aspects of my life. So that I appreciate that. Well, Jay, man, good talking with you. I'm glad we could have this discussion. You know, great. Always good talking with you. Always good working with your team. And we'll be in contact here in the future.
All right. Be safe. Okay, Ben?
All right. Thanks. Yep. Have a good one.
You too.